I've been planning a Q&A video for a while now, and I put the call out on my Facebook and Instagram pages this week for some questions, and I've received more than a few, so let's go through them. I'm Adrian, the cruise and travel guy. If you're new here, I create content on YouTube every week, so if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. What did you do before getting into the travel industry? After school, I studied media and communications at uni at the same time as working at one of Australia's biggest telcos. You could probably guess which one. And I was there for about 5 years. After that, I joined the property industry. And after that, I actually started a bakery. Michael and I ran that bakery for a few years. It did end up morphing into more of a donut company. And I have to say, even now, our donuts were the best donuts that you could ever have. But unfortunately, you can't have them now. We ended up not renewing the lease on our commercial space after about 3 or 4 years, but we really enjoyed doing it for the period that we did. When was your first cruise? So my first cruise was at age 11, and it was on board P&O's Fair Princess. And it was the biggest ship that I had ever seen in my life, and I absolutely loved that cruise. As an 11-year-old, I can tell you that every sight, every smell, every sound was just incredible to me, and I still remember it now, which has pretty much given me my passion for cruising, all thanks to that 9-night holiday back in 1999. Why do you love to cruise, and what made you passionate about cruising, and in particular, starting your career in this field? Well, that very first cruise was definitely what got me started on the cruising path. Basically, after that cruise, I couldn't stop thinking about cruising, and that ended up morphing itself into going on more cruises. And once the bakery came to an end, I decided to join the travel industry, both as a means to express my passion and share that with others, but also because I enjoy being self-employed and doing my own thing. So it seemed like it was a great way to combine those two things. How did you get started as a cruise YouTuber? So in 2019, I completed my certificate in travel, which enabled me to work as a travel agent. And I then signed up to a company which would allow me to do that independently, and it gave me the infrastructure to do that. I had always spent a lot of time researching my cruises before I went on them. And that of course meant I spent a lot of time on YouTube, watching ship tours and reviews. So as soon as I had the ability to get on a ship for a ship inspection, which is what cruise lines hold for agents and groups that sell travel, I filmed it. So I brought my camera on board, which at that stage was just my iPhone, but I did invest in a gimbal, which made sure that all the footage stayed quite smooth. And I just recorded and decided to put a ship tour up because I always valued watching ship tours. It was such a great way to learn about a ship before going on it, and I really wanted to share that as well. Of course, COVID happened shortly after that, so that kind of stopped how much I could film on board ships. So 2020, I spent most of that time focusing on cruise news updates and getting fat. How many cruises have you been on? 34. How many different cruise lines have you been on? I've been on 6 different cruise lines, and that is Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, Azamara, P&O, Princess, and Carnival. And I definitely hope to get on a lot more. Are you a travel agent? Yes, I am a travel agent. That is how I started in the industry. These days though, I don't have quite enough time to focus on bookings and content creation. So I've partnered with a fellow agent, Cynthia Williams, and she is a fantastic partner. And actually you'll be meeting her next week or thereabouts on my channel. I will be having an interview with her so that you can finally meet Cynthia. Do you sell travel insurance? Yes, and it's very important that you get travel insurance, and I've linked to my recent travel insurance video below and in the card above. What's the best destination you've been to and why? It's a very hard choice, but I would have to say that Alaska is one of the most incredible places on the planet that you can cruise to that is quite accessible. So unlike other destinations like Antarctica or Greenland and Iceland, Alaska is very easy to get to, and there's a huge range of ships that operate there every northern hemisphere summer. It's an amazing cruise. You get to see so much wildlife. The sun doesn't set until late at night, so you can really just soak it all up from the ship and enjoy the whole experience. What's your favorite cruise you've ever been on so far? Again, very hard question to answer, but I would have to say that the Trans-Pacific cruise I've only done once. That was from Honolulu to Sydney on Radiance of the Seas in 2014, and still ranks as one of my best cruises that I've ever done. And it was certainly the longest cruise that I had ever done, and still just fantastic. If you haven't done a Trans-Pacific, you should consider it. Can you share some tips for first-time cruisers? I would say do your research, but also don't read too much into commentary on Facebook in particular. Try and take everything that you read or hear, even on my channel, with a grain of salt, because your experiences will be different. Take as much as you can without focusing too heavily on intricate details, because every experience and every cruise will be different. My other tip is to explore the ship. As soon as you get on board, just walk around and discover every single corner. If money wasn't an issue, what ship and destination would you have at the top of your bucket list? This is the easiest question to answer, and that one is Antarctica. It looks absolutely amazing. I can't believe how desolate it is, and one day I just have to get there. What is your favorite meal on a cruise ship? Anything that I can't really make at home easily is my favorite meal, but also I'm a little bit lazy in the mornings when it comes to breakfast, so I really enjoy getting breakfast on a ship. And if any of you follow me on social media, you'll probably see my Eggs Benedict addiction, so that, especially when you don't have to pay $9 for it. On what cruise lines is it okay to wear a ball gown? I have several and I want to wear them, but no one else does on P&O Australia. Well, you would probably want to go for a more formal cruise line, something like Cunard or even Princess, who do formal nights still. However, having said that, I just say do you. If you want to wear a formal dress on board a ship, go for it. Enjoy yourself and have fun and just make the most of it. What are the must-see destinations in Australia, the Pacific, and New Zealand? We're just surrounded by some of the most picturesque parts of the world right here in Australia, from the Sounds of New Zealand on the South Island, all the way up north to the Bay of Islands. It's incredible. The tropics of far north Queensland, and even going further up north into PNG, which I haven't done yet, but it is on my list. And it's also hard to go past the small towns and the rough seas that come with them of the south and southwestern Australian coastline. But apart from that, I think the Kimberley coast is another one that people must see, and I'll be doing that soon. Have you ever gotten seasick while cruising? Not yet. How do you get to go on so many cruises? In a nutshell, I pay for my cruises. The only exception to that is the Explorer and Encounter activation cruises that I was on last year. That was as a guest of P&O, but that was because of my involvement in the industry as a travel agent. And as you watched in those videos, I told you what the experience was like anyway. And if I am sponsored to go on cruises, I will make sure that I tell you that. It will be clearly marked, and you can still feel confident that I will tell you exactly what I think about the experiences, because that's what I'm going to do. What's the funniest thing you've seen on a cruise? It wasn't so much on a cruise, but while we were on a shore excursion. This was years ago. I was traveling with my family and we were cruising throughout Italy. We stopped in Naples and we took a tour out to Pompeii. And while you're there, if you've been there, you will know that there are these big steel gates and fences, and behind them you can see the artifacts that were recovered from Pompeii. While we were there looking at everything, there was a woman within my earshot who asked her husband if the archaeologist had discovered everything organized in that way. And it's never left my mind, because I just thought it was so funny that she must have assumed that as this volcano was erupting that people just started like putting things on shelves. I'm not sure. What's the one thing you always do on a cruise? These days, the one thing I always do is film a ship tour, but one of my favorite pastimes is to get on board, grab a drink, and just walk around the ship, especially if it's a new ship to me. I like to explore and discover every single corner. What's the best joke you've heard? A mushroom walks into a bar and he sits down at the bar, and the bartender says, "I'm sorry, I can't serve mushrooms." And the mushroom says, "But why? I'm a fun guy." It's terrible. What is your favorite place on board? Which ship, where, and why? Radiance of the Seas, the helipad. It is one of the best locations you can get to on any ship, and you just feel like you're on a ship. It's amazing. Do you join in on dress-up nights? What's your favorite? I do love a dress-up night. I think they can be a lot of fun, and pretty much anything that will make me look like a fool, I'm quite happy with that. Do you do the dance lessons? What's your favorite? The short answer is no. The longer answer is that during COVID, when we couldn't even leave our homes, I started doing Apple Fitness dance lessons as like exercise in my place. And let's just say that no, I'm not going to be dancing anytime soon. What is the best specialty restaurant on board a cruise ship? Anything associated with Luke Mangan is going to be fantastic. So if you have the opportunity on a P&O ship to dine at a Luke Mangan specialty restaurant, go for it. What's your go-to karaoke song? I cannot sing, much like dancing, I can't hold a tune, so Living on a Prayer Bon Jovi's great because it's more of a scream, song, sing. How much cheaper can you book a cruise for a client than listed on a cruise line's website? In its simplest form, when you're getting a cheaper rate going through a travel agent, it's because they're giving you a portion of their commission. So their earnings are being returned to you as a discount. Could you please give some information on which cruise lines offer single occupant rooms like the ones they offer on Virgin Cruise Lines? So you basically want to be looking at the newest ships from a range of cruise lines. So Royal Caribbean's Quantum class especially, Celebrity Edge class, some Norwegian Cruise Line ships as well. I'll actually be making a separate video about this, so thanks for the question. When will the Australian government get rid of all of the COVID protocols? That is the million-dollar question, and there is really no clear answer. There were rumblings that there would be a review this month or last month even. That doesn't seem to have happened yet. We're still holding out hope that there will be a change before the summer cruise season begins, which is around September, October, so just stay tuned. Do you need power adapters on board a cruise? Pretty much yes. Even cruise lines that offer Australian outlets will generally still have either US or European style outlets in the room. So if you want to be able to access all of your power outlets in your cabin, I suggest always having on hand a US and EU style adapter. Is there a protest we can join to get Royal Caribbean to sail here year round? Not yet, but should we start one? What is the one thing you wouldn't bother doing or experiencing again? There's not much that I wouldn't bother doing again or experiencing again. If I had to really pick something, probably Le Petit Chef on Celebrity Cruises, the restaurant. I really enjoyed the experience. It was actually a lot of fun, and I recommend if you ever can do it, that you do it. I don't know that I would need to do it again. Would you ever live on a cruise ship full time? Why or why not? No, as much as I love cruising, I could not live on a cruise ship full time. I think that would be way too much of a good thing. In particular, the food, as good as it is on most cruise ships, I think at a point I just get a little bit sick of it and just crave something very simple and home cooked. What's been your favorite cruise experience and why? One of the most unique cruise experiences that I enjoyed, and this was back in 2009, so just keep that in mind, but it was sailing through Venice as we went to dock, and that was on board Legend of the Seas, a Royal Caribbean ship that is no longer in the fleet. And you're just sailing past some of the most incredible sights and historical architecture, and it's just amazing. Can't do that anymore on big ships. What are your thoughts on Christmas cruises? Would you or have you ever done one? Are they worth it? I haven't sailed at Christmas time, but I've definitely heard from a lot of people that they love it. If you can get your family together and go on a Christmas or New Year's Eve cruise, I think it is one of the best holidays that you can have. No one has to worry about any detail of planning an event or lifting a finger. You just get to have fun and all the benefits of cruising with the party atmosphere of the most special time of year. What's your favorite cruise ship and why? If you've been following me for a little while, especially on social media, it should come as no surprise that Radiance of the Seas is one of my favorite cruise ships ever. Even though she's fairly modern and was built in the early 2000s, she still feels like a ship. You really get to access the ocean, whether that is walking around the wraparound promenade deck or up to the helipad or just sitting indoors and looking through the huge expanses of glass at the passing sites and the ocean. You really feel like you're on a ship. I just hope that Royal Caribbean keeps the Radiance class ships for as long as they possibly can. They're such fantastic, perfect size ships. What's everyone's obsession with pineapples on cruises? All of my information about pineapples on cruises pretty much comes from Facebook and anecdotal evidence, and I am led to believe that it means that particular people play well with others. Do you need someone to help carry your luggage and drink your leftover espresso martinis? Could always use a hand with the luggage, but I can tell you that there is never a leftover espresso martini. What is your least favorite ship and why? It's really hard to pick a least favorite ship because, I love cruising so much. If I have to be critical of a particular ship, I would have to say that the Quantum class ships just feel a little bit too built in. As incredible as they are and as the most amazing attractions on board, that if you're into all of that, and a family traveling in particular would have a ball on those ships. But for someone that loves the sort of feeling of being on the ocean, that is something that I truly missed when I was on board Ovation of the Seas. What is your next cruise? So next up for me is really a bucket list cruise. I'm sailing to the Kimberley on board Silversea Silver Explorer, and that is happening very soon, so you'll see a lot more of that on my channel, and I just can't wait. I think it looks like it's going to be absolutely incredible and truly bucket list stuff. Well, that brings us to the end of this first Q&A session. Thank you so much to everyone that submitted questions. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any others, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and hopefully I'll have another video for you soon. If you're looking to book a cruise, you can head to my website, thecruiseandtravelguy.com.au, and you can also give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram at thecruiseandtravelguy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.